Welcome to Real Talk with Real Fit Pros, where we dive into everything fitness, business, and mindset. I'm your host, Jonathan Lautermilch, here to bring you raw, unfiltered conversations that will help you level up in life and in business. So kick back, relax, enjoy the show, and let's go get what you're worth. Yeah. Welcome to a new episode of Real Talk with Real Fit Pros. It's your boy, Jonathan Lautermilch, and we've got a brand new season of Real Talk with Real Fit Pros, and I've decided that I want to mix things up. So if you've been tuning in for the last couple years, I've gone through a few seasons with this podcast. I originally started this off with Mark Zalmanoff back in, I want to say 2020. Like, holy cow, like it's been a long time. To eventually, Mark ended up and I ended up separating and going to do our own things. And, honestly, I've kept the podcast going for as long as I could, but I just couldn't keep those plates spinning, right? So I decided that I wanted to, change up the show, give it a different feel. And I knew I wanted to call in some help in order to do that. So I called in two of my best clients that have become two of my great friends over the years, Josh Riggs and Andrew Carlson, who are going to be co-hosting this thing with me moving forward. So before I go in and give these guys an opportunity to introduce themselves, as we get into the show, I want to give you a little bit of heads up on what we're going to be talking about today. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about, how Planet Fitness has increased their membership pricing by 50% and what that means to you if you're a fitness coach. We're also going to be talking about how apparently Tinder is the way to pick up clients now online. True story. We're going to be talking about that today and whether that's actually a viable strategy. And we're going to be talking about a whole lot more as we're going through this. But before we get started, if this is your first time tuning in, I just want you to kick back, relax, enjoy the show. Your gift to us that you're taking time out of your busy day to invest in yourself by listening to this podcast. But if you've listened to this podcast before and you're coming back to check out, like, man, what the hell is Jonathan up to now? Then I definitely need you to do something for me. I need you to like, I need you to subscribe. I need you to go ahead and actually send this to a fit pro that needs to hear this podcast today. I'm truly focused on getting this podcast up and in front of more eyes than ever, which is why I've called in some extra help for the show to do that. But it would mean a whole lot to me and to the team if you'd be willing to do that. So with that being said, before we start getting into talking about Planet Fitness and Josh don't talk about Tinder and how to build your fitness business. Man, I want to give y'all an opportunity to just kind of introduce yourselves a little bit since it's your first time on the podcast. Josh, why don't you go first, man?
Well, thank you so much for spoiling the beans on what I'm going to be talking about. So my name is Josh Riggs. I'm the owner of Dedicated Health and COO of another company to be announced. Anyway, I'm just honored to be here and I'm really looking forward to do this with you guys. I think it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, dude. And, something cool about you, Josh, is man, I've seen you go from literally from the ground floor to where you're at today. And dude, I know you're super humble about it, dude, which is why I say these things to you, because if you weren't humble, I wouldn't say these things to you. But man, to watch you go from working at fucking Walmart to where you're running multiple gyms now, to where, dude, you're I go to you for help now for what we're doing. I just think it's beautiful, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I had to butter you up before I start breaking you down in this episode. So, but before we start doing that, why don't we go ahead and Andrew, why don't you introduce yourself, man?
Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here, Jonathan. Thanks for having me here and being a part of this podcast. Super excited about this. But why am I here though? What allows me to be here in this seat versus anywhere else? And I wasn't actually originally in the fitness and nutrition world at all. I kind of stumbled into it by accident for needing to basically heal my own self and dealing with a lot of chronic health conditions. The only thing that really helped me was learning about functional nutrition. So once I learned about functional nutrition and went down that path and got myself right and fixed all my health issues within less than 6 months, which was miraculous because, medical world took 10 years to not be able to help at all. So in less than 6 months doing it all naturally was a really cool thing for me. But then I realized that other people needed help, and I built a very successful 6-figure health company based off of that, all virtual and online, helping people reverse chronic health issues like autoimmune symptoms. So that's why I'm here, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I fucking love you, Andrew. I'm going to say that in front of everybody. And I say that, and Andrew's laughing because, when I was first coaching Andrew, this is a long time ago, by the way, I remember him going through the whole process of building like his health company and all this stuff. And I'm laughing because there's so many things that he withheld from me during that time that I'm like, hey, it would have been nice to know that. Like, he just never told me. So, like, here I am coaching this guy, right, for like 6 fucking months. And I'm like, man, I really know this guy. Like, I'm building this relationship. And, I'm like, I'm making a difference in his coach's life. And then I find out that this guy used to be fat and lost all this weight and did all this stuff. And he didn't tell me any of that shit for like 6 months when I met him. So here I am on the other side, like, why did you wait? Why didn't you? He's like, well, I thought you already knew, And here we are. And then Andrew's just like a fucking onion. Like, the more you get to know him, it's like, there's more layers to this thing. It just never ends, But it's always cool, dude. With each new layer, I get to find out something new about you. I basically am treating you like a science experiment, Andrew. You know that, right?
Well, I do, but can we, instead of onions, can we do more like parfaits? Because everybody loves parfaits. No, not everyone likes onions.
I think he just called you an ogre.
I think he did.
Hey, man, dude, that photo was like, you gotta admit, bro, that doesn't look like you at all. I was like, who the fuck's that guy? What, and did he eat Andrew? Like, who's that dude?
He did.
He
was hungry.
It made sense, right? Like, oh, that's why you got into this business and why you're doing all these different things. Because, like, dude, a lot of times, like, when we meet coaches and we talk to them, it's like, how did you end up in this space? And everyone has, like, their own weird story of how they end up there. But I didn't know yours until, like, you told me about it. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. Like, you're obviously, what do you call it? A result of, you practice what you preach. Like, you went through it first and obviously decided to build a business around it, which, pretty smart thing to do.
Right. And I was like, what better way to hold myself accountable than just to make a business around it? And then I really got to be the poster boy.
I didn't even think about it that way, but that's a good point, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you. Like, if I didn't own a gym, I wouldn't work out nearly as much as I do.
So, man, fuck, that's what I need to do then.
It's a cheat code, man. Make your livelihood depend on it.
Fuck, man, you're gonna see me going to exercise today. It's like, why the hell is he posting this? It's like, y'all now know that's the post for me, not for y'all. God bless it, man. Well, anyway, so basically, like, what we're going to be doing on these shows is, like, I want to get into, like, more of the interesting stuff as we're doing this. So, I'm browsing the internet and I'm looking around and, I just type in, like, fitness industry news, right, as we're going through there. And one of the first things, and Josh literally saw this, like, at the exact same time, was Planet Fitness is, I believe, Josh, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is they've increased their membership price by 50%.
Mm-hmm. For the first time since like 1989 or something like that.
Right. So, and their whole thing is, dude, it's the $10, right? And it's about having access and being able to market to all those other people that the normal gyms can't get in, right? But something that's interesting to pay attention to is, like, if that company is having to increase their rates, that means that you should probably be paying attention to what's going on right now. One of the other things that I saw too, and this had nothing to do with fitness, but, Starbucks is having reported instances of having to do things very similar to this. Like, obviously not just upping their prices, but I think they've actually had to shut down like a ton of their locations too, on top of that, right? Mm-hmm. And what's important in terms of where we're at with the economy, and I know this is like a sensitive topic for people, right? With the whole presidential debate coming up and who's going to win, is the country doomed, or are we going to fix it? Are we hitting World War III and all this stuff? Is I do start paying attention when these bigger companies though are having to make those changes, because that's the first barrier that starts to change before you start to see it impact your communities as you're going through this. So, Josh, like, dude, I'm going to ask you, like, you live in Terre Haute, Indiana. We've all heard stories about Terre. You've told me stories about Terre. Shoot, Steve Weatherford and you were over there in the damn corner at the Fit Pro Collective event, bonding about how shitty Terre Haute is.
Yep. We have corn.
Right. So dude, like, I want to hear from you, man, like with obviously the type of clients that you run to from your gym. How do you see this trickle down impacting those within your community?
It's pretty like prevalent. But so for those of you who don't know, Terre Haute's a pretty low income area. Like we're known for corn, meth, and occasionally some kind of scandal. That's about it.
Meth.
Blanket statement. That's pretty much what we're known for. It's not the highest end of places. In fact, so much so that like someone got a Cybertruck not too long ago and it made our news because there's a Cybertruck in Terre Haute. Yeah, like someone got a Cybertruck and it's like there's a Cybertruck in Terre Haute. That's the caliber we're talking about here. But even in like that this kind of area, I've already started to notice, like, as someone in the fitness industry, I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone else in the fitness industry, we're almost considered a commodity. Like, we're one of the first things to go whenever things get tough. Like when the budget get tight, the gym goes. And if you don't have people like using your facility, you don't have people using your program, using your services, you'll be cut like a first thought. It won't even be a second thought. And I've already started to experience a little bit of that, and have to take extra time to put retention in forefront of the brain. Like I actually pivoted with most of my gyms, and we think of client acquisition second now, like retention's first, because right now getting a client is so outrageously expensive that keeping a client is more important than ever, just because no one's thinking about fitness. They're thinking about, I have to go to Walmart and spend $150 for 2 bags of groceries. They're not thinking about the gym. They're thinking, how am I going to be able to go and like live this lifestyle I'm used to? I'm used to getting Starbucks every day. You mentioned Starbucks. I'm used to getting Starbucks every day. That went from $5 to $7. Like, that's a huge increase. They're not thinking like, okay, now I need to add a gym membership on that. On top of that too, we also had to like stand firm on our prices. We were always an advocate for having higher prices. Like average gym membership in my area is $35 or $50. And we've been that way, and we just provided more value to make it worth the money. And now we're even more firm on that. More people are giving us pushback on it, I'm not going to lie to you, but we're more firm on that, because if you can make your members worth more and make it worth it to them to be worth more, that's how you kind of win in the long run, even when the economy goes down, because you need less people. Because at the end of the day, you still need an X amount of people. Do you want to have double the amount of people at $20, or do you want to go ahead and make your prices 40 and need less people and just fight a little harder?
Well, dude, it's a great point, because like basically middle America doesn't exist anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's basically your upper or your lower middle class is getting basically wiped off the board, right? So I think as a coach, you got to make a decision, like which area do you want to play in? Mm-hmm. And there's no right or wrong. Like you could build an awesome, like Planet Fitness, prime example. They built theirs on the lower end. Nothing wrong with that, right? And there's also other companies that have built it strictly on the high end, like Lifetime Fitness. Like that's who I think of when you come with that. So what are y'all's thoughts in terms of like how you're going about like looking at your pricing, and how do you determine how much to increase by and how much to hold the line by, as you're saying, Josh? Because I definitely feel we're in a place where definitely pricing has to be looked at, but not just looked at from a can people afford this, but strategically thinking it through. Like what's that end result going to look like if we sell it based on this?
It really comes down to, and this is something that I encourage everyone to do, is knowing your numbers. At the end of the day, you got to know your numbers, and it's all about the profit margin. So if you're in a position like me, where you're going to have to actually pay out staff, you're going to have to make sure your overhead's taken care of, everything along that, your overhead's going up. Like, it's just fact of life. Everything's going up. Your overhead's going up. And you need to make sure you keep that proper profit margin to keep yourself afloat, and not just stay afloat, but also have enough put back for whenever things start getting worse, because let's face it, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So at the end of the day, what you really need to focus on is where you want to put your attention. So at the end of the day, you can either take expenses away, you can increase your prices, or you can write it out and hope for the best. And basically, whenever you're looking at those things, you're either considering, do I want to get rid of staff? Do I want to start taking on more of these responsibilities myself? Do I want to clean my gym myself? Do I want to do, like, what are you willing to take on to take off these expenses? And also, what are you going to do to make sure your profit margins stay relatively the same? Do I want to either take that effort and be like, I'm going to go clean my toilets, or I'm going to take that effort, buckle down, and start marketing harder to try to get more people in to make that gap and that profit margin that I need? It really comes down to knowing what your profit margin is. I like to keep about a 20% minimum profit margin. That gives me 20% to like play with, 10% to save back. And then I can also, play with that a little bit. Once I see that number start to dwindle, I take a 6-month average is how I do it. If I see that number start to dwindle, if I get into like 15% profit margins, I kind of have to make a split decision where I want to put my efforts. Do I want to buckle down and start trying to get more people? If the economy is really bad, can I really rely on that being a viable option? Do I want to start cutting down some budgets, which might mean having to cut people's hours? It might mean cutting something out of the play, or even just taking a look at my product and be like, okay, so right now we're giving everyone a shirt when they sign up. Do I still need to do this? Is this still a viable option? So it really is just a matter of like making that pivot decision of, okay, I know where my profit margins need to be. They're not there. And what do I need to do to make up that difference? Do I need to take away, or do you need to start adding? And what's going to work?
Dude, that's excellent. Andrew, what are your thoughts for like more of the online coaches? Like, I know that's who you spend most of your time, working with like a lot of what you're doing with the marketing and emails. Like, how do you see this impacting them, and what are your viewpoints on them in terms of like their online offer and how that's delivered and things like that?
I mean, when it comes down to it, it comes back down to the experience of it all. Working with a lot of high ticket, and when I say high ticket, that's anything between like 3 to 5,000 or above for like 3, 4, 6 month period of time. People are very hesitant. People are very trigger shy. People are not wanting to spend money right now. So there has to be the old way of being able to sell things very effortlessly in terms of selling a 3,000 or 5,000 or even a $10,000 package isn't as easy as it was 5 years ago, or easy as it was just a few years ago. Even after we got out of the crazy 2020 stuff, and after everyone spent all that extra money that they surprisingly just were able to have handed to them, and then all that extra spending money disappeared, they were still purchasing high ticket items very easily. And now it's coming back down to they're not wanting to commit to anything. They want very big, strong guarantees, and there needs to be some kind of ascension into that higher ticket space, because at the end of the day, only 1 to 3% of people are ready to purchase anything. With that being whether that's a $7 product, a $147 product, or a $7,000 product. At the end of the day, there's a very small percentage of people who are ready to act now. The rest of the time, you really need to position yourself to have the ability to continuously communicate their pain points over and over and over again until they've finally gotten to that point to where they're ready to take that action now. The biggest mistake that most people make is that they don't have an email set up to constantly be sending out marketing messages. Like when we look at brick and mortars, especially when I worked in like the restaurant world and everything, they were always really good with reward systems. I don't own gyms, so I don't know if like you guys do reward systems or whatnot. But we would always capture emails. And restaurants were never really good at sending out emails unless they were like, here's a promotion, we need to fill seats, so let's send out a promotion and kind of discount our services. And that's the biggest mistake that you can make. Trying to get people into like a free challenge. People are very hesitant in free challenges right now, even because there's just so much information out there. There's kind of information overload, and people are just so exhausted and don't know what to do. So they kind of just stay stuck in inaction.
So let's rewind just a little bit. So I want to go back to where you talked about the guarantee. That's really interesting because, I'm experiencing that with like what we're doing with the book publishing. Like, we have a guarantee within there and it's working very well. And I didn't do this. Like, I'll just be transparent. I'm not smart enough to like do it from the perspective that you're sharing, Andrew. We just put it together, put it out there, and it just happens to be doing well. So I want to ask you more about why the psychology of this guarantee is so effective right here, right now. And what are some examples that you're seeing of that guarantee that is being successful out there in the marketplace?
So when it comes to the guarantee, people just want a safety net where basically they can pull out a mulligan and say, this didn't work for me because of X, Y, and Z reasons. So I want a refund or I want something back in exchange. Now, 100% satisfaction guarantees I wouldn't recommend doing simply because that's going to be left to subjectiveness, and we just don't need to be having those conversations.
Let's quantify your happiness between 1 and 1,000, ma'am.
Exactly.
I could easily loophole the shit out of that.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Right.
You needed a 70 to get a refund. Yeah, unfortunately, you got a 69 on the satisfaction. So unfortunately, I can't give you a refund. I just can't.
Right. And so, like, when I was doing my health offer, and this was putting autoimmune issues into remission within a 6-month period of time. So talk about pressure, where it's like if your autoimmune system, symptoms weren't into remission within 6 months, my guarantee was I will keep working with you until you do, until it's there. So that was the one where I wasn't focused on a refund because I don't refund. There's supplement costs, there's business costs, there's software costs. I don't like refunds at all. Like, you're investing in this. There's no get out of jail free card.
Let me just go ahead and say this. Anyone that goes into any deal with I can get a refund in case, just go ahead and refund that shit because it's not going to work for you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? It's like going on a date and going, I just want you to know I don't put out. Why the fuck are you going on a date then? I'm just saying, man, maybe that makes me an asshole, but it makes sense to me. It's like, what if you don't have an intention to want to go to the next step, then why are you even doing it?
Right.
Sorry. Anyway, you got me triggered, Andrew.
It's fine. I'm going to trigger you even a step further. Then. So another really good guarantee strategy is to basically say, if you don't get the results within X period of time, whatever your program duration is, you can say, I will not only refund your money, but I will pay you $500 for wasting your time, because we are so confident in our system or in my process that if you do the work, if you fill out your food journal, if you do the exercises, if you send me the videos to critique your exercises, if you literally follow this step by step by step, I can guarantee you that you will get the results. Then people will go, oh, so not only would I get a refund, but you'll pay me? Okay, which then puts them into the position of they have to do the work because they have to do X, Y, and Z reasons. Otherwise, if they don't do it, they already are automatically disqualified from that in the beginning anyway, and it's no problem.
Dude, this is that big dick offer energy. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're charging higher prices, you got to have that big dick energy.
It's like, here's what I'm rocking with. Don't. You know? I'm just saying, I'm thinking dude, I go back to brand new Jonathan when I'm first getting into coaching, don't know anything. If I could go back and do one thing, I would go back and figure out what are the things that I can guarantee with absolute certainty and then craft an offer around that.
Yep. And
then just focus on that. Because if you can deliver on that and get them, like you said, to have the right behaviors, because think about it, they do all those things. Dude, I can only think about 1% of the time maybe someone would still go through and go, give me my money. I can't think of most people going through that and having the nerve to ask for money back at the end of it. And if they did, I'd be like, here you go. God bless you.
Right.
You know, so that's what's so genius about it. But you got to be able to walk what you talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the secret. Is you actually have to be good at the thing for that to work.
Well, think about this with coaching. There's so many things I know I picked up over the years that I had down to a science. I'll give you an example. So one of the things I did with every assessment was the overhead squat, right? Mm-hmm. And with that overhead squat, 9 out of 10 times, they're bending at the hips because they have tight hip flexors and tight hamstrings, or a combination of the two. right? So I knew if I had them stretch both of them and maybe do one corrective exercise, if I had them repeat that movement and then ask them, how do you feel now after doing this? If I did it correctly, dude, 99% of the time, they're like, I feel so much better. Holy cow. And their range of motion is like crazy different, right? I knew that when I infused that in that part of the process, that was my Houdini trick to go, wow, look at what I just did for you in, I don't know, 5 minutes. Imagine what I could do over the next 6 months or 12 months, whatever it was, right? So going back, man, if I could make a program that just dialed in those things that I can control and then just focus on that, that's what I would have done, and just build a guarantee around
it. 100%.
Yeah, that's gold right there, dude. I love it. I love it. So for y'all listening, biggest recap to take away from Planet Fitness up in their pricing is like, if Planet fucking Fitness is asking for more money for what they freaking offer, which is Pizza Friday, which so many of y'all bitch about, and I get it, right? That means you could probably got some room within your budget to up your prices. You know what I'm saying?
We're talking a big increase too. Like they went up 50%. Like I want you to think about that number, 50%.
Well, and it's true too, because the dollar amount's only $5, right? Because it's $10, but it's in the percentages, like Josh, you're talking about, that they made those decisions. They didn't just go, let's add $5 on it. Like they weren't just sitting in a board meeting, like, what should we do to combat the recession? Well, how about we add an extra $5 on the memberships? Like I guarantee that wasn't how that was pitched. There's probably data. There's probably research. There's probably understanding your margins. All of those things that arrive on the percentage, which then they drew the dollar amount from. So that's the big thing to take away from this is take a look at your numbers, figure out what you can do better on that. Now,
and if you're taking a look at your numbers, and you realize that you need to add some more people, maybe Tinder is your viable source.
Oh, shit. Is that how you're going to transition into this? All right. God
yes, I am. Rolling right into it.
Oh, you said roll right into it. Speaking of Tinder.
Speaking of getting you more clients because your margins are down, why don't you pull up that there dating app?
All right, man. Dude, all right. Tell me the dealio. Like, all right. So apparently there's a business coaching course now for how to, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't know about that. So we were having a meeting earlier today. We like to start off our weeks with a nice meeting. If you have a team, you should do the same. But I was just pitching ideas, and I had already read an article about this coach that had started picking up clients from Tinder. And it's a twofold too, by the way. So you take them out to dinner and then sell them, and then that would pay for the dinner too. So it was like a genius play. Anyway. So he was making money on these dates. Talk about
wow, dude. So hold on. All right. So he's making money taking girls on dates.
He is.
How?
So okay. From the article, this is now granted. I don't know this guy from Adam, but he's finding these girls on Tinder. He's connecting with them and then asking them out to go on a date. And during the date, they, you obviously are talking about what you're doing and stuff like that. And he slowly transitions that into like a sales pitch, and then ends up, and like, I guess it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 25% of the dates he goes on, he ends up closing. So like it starts as a date, then he has follow-up. He already's got that warm, connected feeling. They already like him. They already like have made connection.
Okay.
I just want to point out.
Hold on. You're going too fast. I got questions before we can keep reading the rest of the damn story. Hold on, man. I'm still processing this because this is a whole new way of thinking, man. Like
it's genius, honestly. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's genius.
The more you keep telling me, the more I'm kind of like it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's genius. But
all right. So he takes the girl out, and how he gets paid is the girls he closes on training packages. Am I tracking with you properly?
Yep.
Okay, here's my question. I want to know how he transitions that, hi, I'm on a date, and how does he work that into a pitch? That's what I'm curious.
So he didn't say, but I put some thought into this, okay? I And I want to also tailor this back to something Jonathan always talks about. He always compares sales to dating all the time. Anyway.
I do.
So
That's why I'm interested.
So
this is perfect. I'm creating a profile. I'm going to have to explain to Renee this is a business entity.
Good luck. I just want to point out that, okay, how many times in your life have you said, oh, I'm a personal trainer, and someone goes, oh, I've really been trying to lose a couple extra pounds, or, oh, this has been hurting, like, this has been bothering me.
All the time, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Like, I can help with that for sure. Why don't we meet up, and I'll, like, go through an assessment. We'll figure this out for you. We'll make sure we work it out. Like, how many times has someone asked you, when you tell them what you do, hey, can you fix this?
Questions.
Yeah, every single time. And then, if the date goes well and you actually play your cards right, they already still want to talk to you, right? Like, they're already still interested. They're already a warm lead. They know you. They literally spent a time having dinner with you. They then show up at your place of business. This guy was an in-person coach. I'm sure you can do this online.
But so here's the challenge, though. Is he gets the client, right?
Mm-hmm.
He still has to balance, like, that person that lead came in under a romantic assumption, and now you're working with someone that you have to constantly balance those romantic expectations. So
it's Tinder, Jonathan.
Look, man, I'm not that fucking old, Josh. I know what Tinder is. Look, I got locked up. I got married, put a ring on it before Tinder came out. I still understand what Tinder is, though, Josh. But what I mean, though, is this, dude, like, all right, I'm just going to, all right, let me give you context. So when I first became a trainer out of college,
mm-hmm.
I had 2 college girls that ended up becoming, like, early clients of mine. One of them wanted to have sexual relations with me. It was extremely uncomfortable because she wasn't very attractive. Anyway, I'm training her. But I had to always kind of like deal with that shit. You know what I mean? As I was training her, like, I want to keep you as a client, but I don't necessarily want to like lose you because I'm not romantically interested in you. And that wasn't even set up from that context of Tinder. That was me just meeting her in the gym and it went that way. I couldn't imagine if I had met her through Tinder and was like, oh, by the way, Bethany, we're gonna be great friends. Not partners, but we're gonna be great friends and that pay me $500 a month to train you. You know, like that's what I'm curious about, man. Is how does he do that part?
Well, I imagine he just sucks at dates, and they're like, I don't really like you like that.
Oh,
but
so he like he makes them think it's their idea.
Yeah, he bamboozles it.
Oh, yeah. It is, man. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio, man.
Yeah. He's like, you're not. I don't want to date you, but you did help me lose weight, so maybe it'll help me date the next guy I go on a Tinder date with.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. So that's what I'm banking on. Obviously, I don't know, but that's what I'm banking on. Other than that, it's just the shitty.
What's this dude's name, man? What's his name?
I'll have to figure it out. I don't remember his name. Let me find him. But I do know that there is a coach for this.
Turn this into a reaction clip podcast here in a second. I'm gonna find some videos of this shit. There's got to be some footage because once again, like he's gonna have to prove that works. So I would think that he would have some documentation of him closing some Tinder leads. I would love to watch that, man. That's way better than watching like these pickup dating coaches, man. If this could be a reality TV show, I'd watch it.
100%.
Don't tell me y'all wouldn't watch it. Hey, in this week's episode
of Training Game.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know the person that wrote the article I was reading. I don't know who that is, but I can tell you there's a coach for this that has a podcast.
What's his name?
I'm getting it right now because I found this whenever I was looking it up earlier.
We about to put this dude on game right now.
I mean, maybe that's what his guarantee was all about. He's like, listen, if the date doesn't go well, at least I'll train you to look your best for the next one. That's the performance guarantee right then and there.
Andrew's already like, I can make this offer better.
I can spin it.
Yeah, I guarantee you free foot rubbies. You absolutely hate the date, free shoulder rubbies for 30 days. I don't know. We'll come up with something. I'm just fat. Now that I know that this exists, I'm like fascinated. So like I want to understand because like I nerd out because sales and dating to me are the same thing. And this is someone who literally is like, I'm literally using this as my funnel. Like that's
he must have studied like pickup artist courses and was like, I can do it better. He's like, bet.
Whoever
watch.
this is they got big iron balls. That's all I know. They got them big Andrew Carlson, big swinging nuts. Because think about it, it takes a lot of balls to be able to build your business that way. Like, holy crap, man!
100%. It's Alex Williams.
Alex Williams.
Alex Williams. And it's how to grow your online fitness business using Tinder.
Well, we'll put him in the show notes for y'all tuning in, and maybe y'all can go check him out. And if y'all actually try out the program and it works for you, let me know. This is going to be one of those that I'm not going to go first on, but if somebody else wants to go first on this one, I'll be happy to watch and see how that works out for you. But man, it's so crazy, dude, how this game has changed. Like Josh, you got what was the year you got started as a Fit Pro?
2017.
2017?
Yeah.
So I was 2012 is when I graduated college. So that's when I got started. So like, holy cow, 2024. So that's 12 years. And like, dude, when I started, man, I got thrown a phone book, and my fitness manager, Sharon, who was awesome, was basically like, hey, get to work. Here's how you're going to build your clients. And basically was like cold call from the yellow pages. Like, I was like, you got to be fucking shitting me. Now, fortunately, I figured out a smarter way to go about it. I found the inactive client list, and I started calling those people. I'm like, man, this guy's got like 12 sessions. He ain't even using them. I just got to motivate him to use them. That's money for me, and then I'll re-sign them, right? But to go from those days to like flyer in parking lots and all that to like
the walking billboards.
Like, yeah, dude, to now like there's some dude named Alex Williams out there literally probably sitting in his bed just Tinder swiping on people going dollar bills, y'all. This closing dance is wild, man.
The Alex Hormozi law of 100. He's just got 100 swipes every day.
Dude, well, look, any method you do can technically get you there if you talk to enough people.
Yeah.
You know, that's why there's so many methods, right? There's LinkedIn and there's YouTube. And Andrew, you know, man, like there's so many shiny objects out there that people get stuck chasing, you know, versus like the one thing that doesn't change is the principle stuff. Like there's just some things that are just universal. Like doesn't matter what year, what decade you're in. It's just a principle that just works. Universal versus these methods, they kind of come and go. So as much as Tinder, how great Tinder is for those that are single, I unfortunately fortunately missed Tinder. If I had Tinder before I met Renee, I may have never met Renee. Let's just say that. God knew that. Oh, better not give Jonathan that access. Back in my day, you had to go to the bar and get drunk enough to actually have the balls to go talk to someone. That was how you got your opportunities back in my day.
I think that way still exists, just not as frequent, unfortunately.
It does. Now you can just swipe on your phone. It's crazy. It's crazy, you know. But crazy times we live in, But yeah, dude, Andrew, like, what do you got cooking on your side of the world, dude? Anything juicy going on?
You talked about crazy times. Like, it is 2024. Like, I mean, think about like 8 years ago, all the news headlines was always like the millennials are destroying this industry, or the millennials are destroying avocado or not destroying. They're destroying the housing industry because they keep purchasing avocado toast. It's like, okay, how are the millennials doing that? But one of the things that is on the Reddit boards right now is about, especially now with all the personal trainers, is artificial intelligence actually going to replace personal trainers? Because think about it, like all the cookie cutter, like you just can literally plug into ChatGPT or any kind of AI tool to put in your weight, your height, how much you exercise, and you can literally pull up your macros. You can get a fitness plan. You can do everything just from the comfort of your own house. Like if people are raising their prices and we have people that don't want to pay that anymore, they can say, okay, I'm not even going to pay for Planet Fitness anymore. They raised it by $5. How dare they? Right, that's 50%. And then they could just plug it into artificial intelligence. So it's like, especially in the online world, everyone's so worried about, oh, is artificial intelligence going to take away this industry or this industry? And like my personal experience, no. But if you're a shitty personal trainer and you only just sell programs, then of course it's going to replace your job. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Like you're not making a difference.
Yeah, I've had this debate with a lot of people lately, and like that's the issue. Is so many people, even people in our industry, don't understand what we sell. Everyone thinks we sell programming. Everyone thinks we sell relationships. Like at the end of the day, people are buying a relationship. As weird as that sounds, it's just a fact. Like that's what you sell. And if you don't realize that early on in the game, you're gonna have a rough time. Like they don't care about the what's. They don't care about the like. Everyone knows what a squat is, and you're not gonna be revolutionary by telling someone if you eat less, you're gonna lose weight. Like you're just not. They have to like you. It's a relationship business at the end of the day. Like it. So and maybe one day, but right now AI is not. It's not at the point where. Maybe in Japan, I don't know. We're not at the point where it's got that relationship pizzazz that you need.
It's funny. So it's funny you bring this up, Andrew, because like I was literally just talking to my wife Renee this weekend about this. How she uses ChatGPT for like just a lot of stuff like that's not even business related, right? That she just like if she ever needs help making the decision, she has ChatGPT. I'm like, thank God, like we finally know where she wants to eat for dinner now. It's great. ChatGPT helped make that happen.
Same with marriages since 2024.
It's like, oh, let's go here. I'm like, thanks, ChatGPT. You just saved me 20 minutes of my life. It's awesome. Anyway, so as I'm talking about this, though, what we got to talking about though was like, now Renee was saying how dumb Alexa is. Like Alexa can't understand nearly as many prompts or context of questions, and it's just half the time she's just arguing with Alexa versus actually getting what she needs from it. So I bring that up because to your point, Josh, like, dude, we're pretty far away from this being rolled out to the level I think where all this fear is coming from of like AI will take our jobs. Because what you're thinking of is like Alexa being able to be basically a fitness coach to you. Well, we're very far from that. Like the amount of legislation that they're doing right now and government that they're going to have to get through, plus the upgrading the actual software and rolling that out across that many devices, like it's going to be some time before that comes. But back to your point again, Josh, is we're not selling the thing that we do. We're selling us in the relationship, man. Because anyone, if I ever had someone like leave me as a client because they're like, hey, this is back when like bodybuilder.com was like my online competitor, right? It's like, hey, Jonathan, appreciate all the help, bro. And I already know like they were breaking up with me. Like that was the beginning of the breakup talk. It's like, yeah, man, I think I'm just going to, use the workouts at bodybuilding.com. And I'm just going to use what you showed me, which that's, y'all ever notice they all say at the end, I'm just going to use everything you taught me. They try to put that back on you so you don't make them feel guilty for leaving. Like, everything you taught me, you changed my life. It's like, now I feel like an asshole if I ask you to stare. As you go through that. So that's my thoughts with it, man.
Well, it's also like,
oh, go for it, Andrew.
I was just going to say, like, especially like with back in the day with beachbody.com with like P90X, and you had all those things like get ripped in 90 days, and people would go do that, and then they would stop at week 2. It's like, because there's no accountability, there's no personal relationship, there's no nothing, and that's what we sell is accountability over anything else. It's the who's checking in on you when you give up already, or when you're about to give up, who's going to be there for you. Like, no robot's going to do that. No robot's going to understand the nuances that human interaction gets to.
And also, like, I can't see myself caring as much. You know what I mean? Like if it was ChatGPT, like, Jonathan, you got to get up and go exercise today because you promised. That's not going to persuade me as much as if like Josh is like, hey, Jonathan, did you go work out today like you said you would? I'm like, shit, I did tell Josh that. And now I know if I don't, he's going to be disappointed in me. You know, so like I don't see AI like unless we're getting into the sex doll stuff.
That's weird. That's for the Tinder people.
I can't let
Yeah.
my sex doll Lucy down. She gets real disappointed in me. I gotta go.
Alex might know that one. I don't know.
But you're making that stuff too, man, over there in China, dude. They got like $15,000 sex dolls and stuff.
I also want to add to this point that like this has already been done. This business model has already been done and it failed. I'm not going to say the name, but there is a business, not the sex doll thing. That's probably doing great.
I was like, hold on, man. Oh, dude, I've never been more interested in something in my life, bro. For real.
I'm sure that's doing fantastic. But I'm talking about the AI gym thing. The AI gym thing. So there was a gym. There was a gym that actually, and again, I come from brick and mortar, so different from my life. There was a gym that thought the problem with gyms was people. So they had individual rooms, like each room was set up with all the equipment you needed. You'd go in there and you like put in this stuff and it would spit out the workout you're doing that day and you just do your workout and leave. And it lasted literally like 8 months and went under because they thought the problem was the people. And that's why people have gyms. Like if you have someone who actually opts for an in-person trainer over an online trainer, they are not doing that because they're like, oh, this is cheaper, because half the time it's not. They're doing it because they want that in-person interaction. And if it is, that's on you. But we've already know this doesn't work. So it's not going to change anything if you put a face and a voice on the robot. You're still just going to be like, shut up, Jarvis. I don't care. I'm going to go eat this McDonald's.
Right.
But what it will do is it will help fitness pros be able to do their job more efficiently and be able to take on more clients because it will expedite and speed up the time or lower the time or speed up the duration of how much it takes for you to actually do the work for each individual client.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's a great point, Andrew, because I remember and it's been a while since I've had this conversation, but I think it was like 6-7 months ago, another coach brought this up with like the same concerns and they're not really sure with AI and all this stuff. And what we actually came up with the idea for him was like, hey man, what if you did a training showing people how to create their fitness program in ChatGPT within 15 minutes? Like actually just own it. Like, so instead of like having that be a threat to your business, turn it into an asset by you leaning in and being the expert at it, showing other people. And what you'll find is for the people that go, hey, that's great, but my issue ain't with getting my program, it's with getting my ass in the gym. What do I do for that? Well, now you're going to get that person that goes, well, clearly this person knows what they're talking about. Let me find out what it would look like to work with them. And you'll make sales just by going out there and helping people by helping them first. That's actually a universal business principle. You can't outgive that. If you are always out there giving and adding value, it's going to come back to you. That is a universal law.
100%.
But I think that's a great point, Josh.
I'm excited to see, though, the day that we can go on ChatGPT and just type in get my ass to the gym and you just teleport there. That's going to be fun.
Oh, that would be great.
Well, dude, it's crazy, like, what you can train that thing to do. And dude, all these other companies, like, they're going to find a way to use it. Like, this is where we're going. Mm-hmm. Whether you like it or not, whether you're going to use it or not, doesn't matter. This is where we're going as a society. And if you want to be competitive and make it to the next level as we move into this next arc, I see us moving in as a society as a whole. I recommend you lean in. And once again, you don't have to become a master of AI, but if you're not finding the parts that you can leverage within your business, I promise you your competition is, and they're going to kick your ass out there in the marketplace because ChatGPT is helping them versus you're trying to muscle through and do it yourself. You're just going to get outworked at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, 100%. We all have the same tools. It's just rather you want to leverage them or not.
Yeah, and dude, that's why I used to be a late adopter on this stuff, man. Like I was super stubborn, believe it or not. Jonathan's actually stubborn. But I'll get stubborn on the wrong stuff, man. Like I'll get stubborn on like doing something a certain way because I was afraid if I did it any other way, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't produce the fruit that I was looking for, and I thought that was a superpower. I thought that was something that was like I would help me, right? By not jumping from thing to thing. But what it ended up doing was it ended up causing more harm than good because it gave me a fixed mindset. So when I came into new informations or new ways of thinking, I would reject them, man, because it went against my current belief system on a process that I knew worked. But at the same time, you can't get to where you're going doing what got you to where you're at in the first place. We have to change what we're doing to get to that next level. And that's where, like, dude, I'm just so grateful for AI. Like, maybe it's because I'm the old Fit Pro, man, that remembers brown folders and file cabinets and big ass master appointment books with green highlighters. And I remember all those days, man. And I remember spending 10, 15 hours a week handwriting everything. And I remember my wife looking at my programs going, your handwriting's fucking awful. And I'm like, shut up. Like we had that conversation like a billion times, because I have a doctor's handwriting, and to be able to look at where we're at now, dude, you can literally run your business without writing anything down on any paper, and you can automate things. You can work with people in any continent of the world. It's just, man, there's no better time to be alive than now, right? If you're a coach, and especially in the fitness space, because health is never going to go away, man. Like, it's one of those things that, like, there's always going to be job security for fit pros that are willing to do the work because there's always going to be a level of importance on your health and your fitness.
And people in America or across the world are getting sicker and sicker and sicker anyway. So, like, let's be real. There's a bigger need than ever before.
If you want to look at the positive things, the more AI does for us, the less people do, and the more they're going to need us.
Man, I truly believe. Y'all ever watch that movie WALL-E?
Yes, I was just thinking that.
Dude, that's some real world prediction stuff right there. Like I'm pretty sure that's going to happen at some point. Like we're going to end up in space sitting like a bunch of fat people on some recliners, just kind of zipping around, drinking out of our moon straws and shit.
Yeah.
Just not working out. Well, it makes sense because they don't have to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're moving more and more to a world you don't have to do these things. Which is why it's even more important that we have strong coaches out there being examples for people.
Mm-hmm.
And people spend money on what they want to spend money on. So I think that's also like, we can't just have a transactional programs either. Like you said, Andrew, like, hey, here's your workout program. Like, that's just not going to cut it anymore, man.
Right.
It's got to be something more. It's got to be something that's actually going to transform them, not just in their fitness, but how do you impact them on those other areas of their life? And I think the coaches that truly lean into that and figure out how to crack the code on those different areas, those are the ones you're going to see setting the new trends in the industry moving forward. I don't think it's going to be these big Titan gyms anymore. I think those are a dying breed. They're just really big companies, so it's going to take a while for them to completely go away.
Yeah.
But a lot of what we're going towards is the individual fitness influencer / trainer. That's really where I see the industry going. And I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing some of those people showing up at, some of these bigger conventions like URSA, within the next 5 to 10 years because of the influence and impact that they're having in the industry. Which that would be cool to see.
Right. 100%.
I think so, at least. Because right now it's just a bunch of all the same people that have just been in the industry forever that all work together. Basically, the Illuminati of the fitness industry. And they exist, dude.
Yeah.
They're all the people that are like, they're the CEO at 24 Hour Fitness, and then they went over the Lifetime. They all just kind of circle around and switch jobs, but they're all part of the same club. That's my tinfoil hat right there at the end of the day. So, dude, I think this is a great opportunity to mix things up, man. Legitify online training because they ain't going anywhere. People can bitch and complain like, I don't like how Susie, the booty model, is getting all these clients and she doesn't know what she's talking about. Well, you can bitch about it or go out there and do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Go talk to people.
People want to bitch about V-Shred all the time, but I don't make as much money as V-Shred.
Bro, I'm like, dude, little Susan and her booty out there is going to keep doing her thing whether you like it or not. So what I would do is forget what she's doing and why don't you go out there and be a positive influence since you're a real coach and go out there and start putting out some real information that people can do. That's how we win at this. No more pointing fingers and complaining. You know, gyms don't pay well enough. Certification companies are ripping us off. All these online influencers. Dude, if you want to focus on those things, you can. But I can tell you this, it ain't going to let you build the life that you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you just focus on who do you need to become and what work you need to do, most of us don't even need that many clients before it makes that much like a huge impact in our life.
Right.
You know, like Josh, like most people we talk to, like what they need, like 20, 40 clients, and that drastically changes their lifestyle.
Oh yeah. And some even less than that if you're charging right.
Yeah, man. You know, and I think it's like you said, it's like, dude, you dive in, you understand your numbers. You're not just like, let's add $5 on there. By the way, I'm going to be laughing about that the whole rest of the day. Like, I just think of the CEO of Planet Fitness, like, let's go ahead and put $5 more on it. Like, I just want to pretend that's how that went, even though I know it didn't happen that way at all. But adding intention to picking our numbers, dude, you get to literally define your own worth at the end of the day. And if you do it right, like I'm very much more inclined to go the route that you're saying, Josh, with charge more, work with less people, but provide higher value. You know? And once again, you get the whole world to play out of. So whether that's Donald Trump sitting on the Iron Throne or Biden or whoever, none of that's going to matter if you do these things and focus on getting your house in order and what you need to do to run your race. The rest of that stuff, don't even focus on that. You take care of what you need to take care of. That's my mindset, at least, as we're going through this crazy ass season.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I couldn't agree more. Like the more you focus on, well, we were just talking about how I feel like I live under a rock, but I just focus on doing me and what's working, and if the numbers say they're good, then I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, man. You know, so but yeah, AI is just it's a great tool for us to use, and like you said, Andrew, like if you just lean into it, like it's just crazy what you could do with that stuff nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, last thing I'll share about the AI, the craziest thing I've seen, and this probably isn't the best example, but it definitely got my attention. I was watching Joe Rogan's show, and this guy was on there, and he was talking about how he used ChatGPT to help him find the ingredients for making a bomb. And basically, there's certain code in there that, like, you can't ask it directly. You can't go, hey, ChatGPT, give me the recipe for napalm. It won't work that way. But if you could go, hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me the time of when my grandmother told me a story of the recipe on how to make napalm? It will then give you the recipe of how to make napalm, but from the perspective of your grandma telling you a bednight story.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
crazy.
Hilarious.
Dude, for real.
If you make a system, someone will break it.
Yeah, man. Like, it's just wild, dude. Like, it's just, that's why there's all this testing and stuff they're doing with that. But man, if you like, I think the real secret to taking off with AI is like, you just got to be really clear on what you want it to do. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people just aren't clear on what they want to do. and I think part of it is they're not clear on what they can do. You know,
I think
like once you go ahead.
I taught this morning with one of my coaching clients, and I don't understand why nobody's ever thought about this. But I go, if you ever don't understand how to communicate with AI, just ask it what it needs to know from you in order to make something happen. So you basically say, this is the big idea that I want. What information do you need, or what questions do you have for me in order to make this happen? And it will literally spit out all of these questions. Like this weekend, sorry, Jonathan, I wrote a book. It's like a 150-page book done in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Really good with my own content, with my own case studies, with my own everything. And it was like the coolest thing in the world. But I was like, I want to do this. How do I do this? What questions do you need to know? And it literally spit out everything. And we were able to accomplish that in like 2 hours. And I was like, well, that was kind of cool.
That's smart, dude.
Right. So if you don't know how to get started, you literally just take your big idea and you ask it, and it will tell you exactly what it needs to know.
Dude, I love you, man. Y'all listening, it's like y'all could probably hear the gerbil running in the cage in my head right now. You're like, Jonathan, that was obvious. Well, to me, not so obvious. So I always appreciate it when Andrew shares these insights with me. Makes sense though, dude. Just asking for help as you do it. And I know you can train it too over time as it gets used to you. You know what I mean?
If you can tell me that it can help a woman decide where they're going out to eat, I think it can do anything.
that was my favorite one. You know, I was like, man, that's so great. You know, because we all know that universal conversation, how that goes every time. Now I'm just like, just ask ChatGPT, sweetie. I'll take you wherever you go. The other technique I do is go, hey, I'm taking you to your favorite place. She goes, we're going to Vito's. I go, yes.
Classic. That's one of those principles you were talking about.
It is a principle. No matter what she says, I go, yes. That's the one we're going to.
I knew it the whole time.
Yeah, man. You know, you learn some things after a while, you know. You beat your head against the wall enough times, and eventually you start learning some different ways of going about it for sure. But man, yeah, dude, this has been a good episode, guys. It's been fun.
Nah.
Jeez Louise. Well, let's do this. We're going to start landing the plane on this episode. Hey, for y'all that are tuning into this, can y'all go ahead and do me a favor? Go ahead and leave a like and leave a comment on the channel. You know, like what your takeaways are from the episode. This is definitely something that we're launching in newer territory. And, you know, if you have like certain topics or certain things that you'd love for us to discuss or get into, by all means, please drop them in the comments. And we're more than happy to dive into that, because I'm definitely going to dive into the Alex Williams stuff, and I am going to investigate. And I'm going to find real footage of the Fit Pro Tinder closer. And then we'll definitely come back and talk about that. So make sure y'all do that. Let us know what you thought about the episode. But most importantly, as you go out there and get what you're worth, baby. Yeah.